Hey people, Frank Sman here, working on Scorpion today, more specifically the drive system. And it's hotter than, well, let's just say it's hot, like 90 degrees. I'm gonna be frying today. So, got to redo the drive section. The drive section that I put on there now was pretty much jack shaft parts. I don't want to use those. Those are pretty weak, so I'm going to switch over to pillow block bearings. And then means I got to redo the frame. So let me show you what I got. Okay, looking at the framing, the jack shaft parts, these are the bearing holders. I got cheap bearings at the time. That's all the money I had to get bearings. And then these are going to be cut out. And then these round bars are going to be cut out to redo the drive section. I'll be putting the axle somewhere in the same spot because there's certain reasons why I want to distance it away from this bar. This is where the brake system is going to be attached to. And then everything, like I said, pretty much dictates where the sprockets are going to be, where the wheels are, where the suspension is. Notice that there's a mark on the suspension bar. This shows where the center of the track is going to be, and so on and so forth. So there was a specific order I wanted to do everything in. It's leading up to me mounting the drive sprockets. So sit back and watch. Okay, I got the old drive system cut out of it. Let me show you. All the round bar and the holder, bearing holders are gone. And as for replacing it, I got this 6-foot piece of axle. I'm going to slice and dice. I'm going to try to keep the sections for the sprocket axles 19 inches. That way, if I bust a shaft or mess up the key in the shaft, all I got to do is buy a 19-inch jack shaft from BMI to replace it. And then the pillow block bearings, this is for next to the sprocket. Then I got 4 of these, so 2 of them on each side to hold the axle on inside of the frame. So should be pretty strong. This is a 6-foot piece of axle. What's left I'll probably use for another project that I got going on, and then well, let's get to work. Almost. Just about there. Let's see. Almost. Trying to get it to where it's flat with this and flat with that. Okay.
that should do it. I got one part to make the rest. Okay. Okay, here's my little jig for setting up the axles. I'm using the whole piece of axle because the longer the better when you're measuring. And I'm going to take a reference to make sure that it's square from here to the A-frame bolts, and then this side also from here to the A-frame bolts. Make sure the measurements match. I'm going to weld the framing in for the pillow blocks. As you can see, they're all ready to go in there. All I got to do is weld it. And as for setting the frame up, I got it on wood under the suspension bar, which I know is a good reference point on both sides. I just got a 2x4 underneath it. And then for holding the axle in place, I got wood stacked. Wood's pretty much accurate, and just matched up both sides to make it level to the ground. The piece of concrete that it's on, it's not exactly flat, but it is one piece, and that piece is level. Step back and show you. It's raised up, but it is on one piece. And everything should be square. We'll see. Okay, I'm going to give you a little closer look on the, I guess, sprocket bearing holders, a part of the drive line, making this part separate, then weld it onto the frame. So let me show you. 2-inch square tubing, 1/16 of an inch thick, pillow block. No, I'm sorry, that's a jack shaft bearing holder. That's about a 1/4 inch thick. There's going to be a little bearing on this side, and then this is what's going to hold the pillow block bearing for the sprocket. It's made out of that door. Plenty of metal left. Make little pieces. So you notice the lines in it pretty much X's it out to where the marks, these are centered on here. I line up the marks so it fits on there diagonally. I'm going to weld that sucker together. If you notice, this will center it on the plate. Line up that mark all the way around, and then it's going to be centered, not to the hole, but to the bolt holes. So that way the pillow block will be centered, and hopefully the shaft will be centered on this. I didn't do that, I just eyeballed the other end. I think it came out okay. I don't know. I don't think it's going to matter too much. Okay, watch me weld the sucker together. Okay, mocking up drive line again. I got the sprocket brackets, or I don't know, housings I guess you want to call it, all welded up, ready to be mounted to the frame. Going to use this piece here just to hold it in place, weld it all together. That'll be part of it, and then build framing around it. Framing is just going to be plate steel going all the way down here and stopping. Same thing all the way up to here and stopping. Same thing on this side. Got this side all mocked up. If you could see where the mark is on, I don't know if you can see it. You can see the mark on the suspension bar. Lines up here. So this part here, the inner bearing, pillow block bearing. Inner bearing is just a cheap jack shaft bearing. I decided to keep that instead of using another one of these, more compact. I don't think there's going to be that much stress. It's basically there just to hold the shaft straight, and I'm sure that bearing's strong enough. If not, I could always switch to a high-speed bearing. And then mock up. I measured it from here to about here is 18 inches, so I'm good on the length of the axle. I wanted to keep it around 19 inches. That way, if I should break this shaft, I probably will. I just go to BMI and order a jack shaft that's 19 inches long and pop it in there. I'm also going to make it to where if I shear a key or the key slot on the shaft strips out, I'm going to do the spacing to where all I have to do is pull a shaft, turn it around, and put it back in there, and everything will be on different spots to where it'll have another spot on the key slot to attach to with the key. Get as much use out of the parts as I can. So that's going to be designed into the drive system also. Get as much use out of the parts as I can, so keep it running cheap. I think that's the goal. Right now I got it mocked up with a solid piece of shaft. After I get everything welded in place, the shafts will be cut down to 19 inches, and this center part here will be open. There's not going to be anything here. This is just to line up everything to make sure that you have a straight shot through. That way while you're driving it, it doesn't turn a little bit. Everything's pretty much symmetric, going straight while you're driving straight. Okay, that's it for this part. When I come back, I'll have the plates all welded in, and I'll start bracing that up. Probably making supports coming off of here, boxing it in. I'm going to try to make this to where it's enclosed to keep water and mud out of the belt part of the drive system, and the brakes. Keep the brakes dry, keep the belts dry. Haha. Okay, I got the drive line in. Check it out. Got the sprockets on. I got a pillow block here. I got a little bearing here for support. Then a pillow block on the inside. Right now I just have the one piece axle in place to line everything up. I'll chop the axle up to where it'll be right here to right here, 19 inches long. And like I said before, this section won't have anything in the middle of it. But as you can see, step back, you see the little mark on the suspension bar. It lines right up in the middle with the sprocket. Same on that side. Plus free spins. I didn't think it'd come out so good. Next step is going to be the brake system. Brake system is going to be here. Like I said before, I'm going to space everything to where if I mess up the key slots in the shaft, all I gotta do is pull the shaft out, flip it around, put it back in, and I don't have to worry about this end where if the key slot messes up, when I flip it around, it'll cover the brakes, the brake hub. So if this end messes up, I flip the axle over and the keyed slot will be right here over the bearing, and then the brake rotor will be right next to it, which will not touch the messed up keyed slot. So that's how I'm going to do it. Same thing, the pulleys, I don't see a problem. If I flip the shaft, the bad key slot will be probably in here, so I'm not too worried about that. I'll measure it to make sure, but that's the only thing I got to worry about if I'm able to do it this way. So that way, if I mess up the shaft, I don't have to get a shaft right away. I could just flip it over, keep using it. Okay, next step, I'm gonna measure the shaft, do what I just said, and then figure out where to put the brakes. Okay, I got a mock-up of the drive axle for the tracks. I pulled a pillow block bearing off so I could get, this is actually the jack shaft for the engine to the gearbox. I'm just using it for mock-up, and I got the pulley in place and I got the brake rotor in place. Notice the spacing, I got it marked off how much room I have right here for the drive belt, and then the brake rotor, if you notice, it goes into the frame, which is pretty much what I wanted, because how I'm going to be doing the calipers, I'm going to be making them. It's basically going to be 2 bars that come all the way across here, and there'll be a lever here to squeeze them, and the brake pad that I will be using will be an automotive brake pad. I'll probably chop it in half, so one will be here, one will be here, and a whole one is too long. So the 2 bars that go across here will be squeezing the rotor, and the squeezing part will be done on this end, which will give me leverage here, and then on the lever that's going to be actually doing the squeezing, I'll have leverage on that part. plus I'll have a bar up here with brakes. These will probably be for steering, and then a bar down at the bottom, and this will be for regular brakes. I wanted two separate systems for steering and braking in case one got hot. I'll have another system to work with in case I need to stop or turn or whatever. And if you notice too, I'll be having to make a skid plate because the rotor passes the frame, so I'll be making a skid plate for it right here, and this will be all enclosed along with up here going down to the frame right here. This will all be enclosed to keep water, dirt, and debris out of the drive system. So that's my plan. I gotta do one thing. This bogie comes all the way up and it touches the spindle, or I'm sorry, sprocket. Keep calling it spindle. I'm just going to take a BFH and pound them down, bend them over some more so they don't touch, and just clears the axle shaft of the gearbox. Okay, I'll be leaving a link down in the description for my ATLTF Build Off contest thread, and then rate, comment, and subscribe. Thanks to me. Bye.